Good morning, you crazy motherfuckers. What you sons of bitches know? You crazy sons of bitches know. I'm still setting up a little bit. Go ahead and get this shit done. Like, but anyway, like I said, I'm still setting some stuff up. And
Oh, hey.
can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me?
You there? You hear me?
Give me just a minute, brother. I am still setting up a little bit, and I can't hear you very well. I got to get some airbuds going, so just a second. Find them, and we'll get there.
Say something.
Say something.
Your sound is fucked.
Huh?
Your sound, I don't know what's up.
Yeah, give me just a second.
Uh,
It is, there we go. I'll get there in just a second, brother. If nothing else, I'll leave and come back if I have to. I'm getting there, man. Is that any better?
Still sounds the same.
Still sounds the same. Hang on, I'll be back in just a second. That sound any better?
A little bit. Say something again.
Say something again.
Yeah, kind of.
I
I
know
got it
what.
up, cool boy. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Yeah, hang on. Hang on. I know what I think I got to do. Give me half a second.
That's better, but you're still like barely.
I'm coming, bro. Half a second.
Can you hear me now?
Now I hear you.
Okay. I had settings wrong. What there's settings before you come in that you got to square out. So let's see. That one's out of here. All right then. Let me turn this shit on. That way I ain't hearing it. Get this one up and over there. But anyway, the pages on that book we've been discussing, I want to try over here before we do over there.
I was gonna say maybe if nothing else, you could turn the pages of it, and then you read one page, and then I read one page, and then you read one page.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking. I'm going to turn my camera on, show some bits, and then do some reading out of it, and kind of see how the algorithm treats it. So let me get shit finished up right here, and I, I don't know. That's like I said. That's one of them books. I don't know if it's on the ban list. The other one that I put in the text, I know is in the ban list, and now they can
Oh yeah,
hit you with some.
the cookbook is banned, but I don't think any declassified books are they?
And well, I don't know. That's one thing. I've had it a while. I've read through some of it. I hadn't double checked into the legitimacy of the name of the book, as far as it's 100% what it says it is. So, but with StreamYard, you don't get to set a thumbnail like you do on the tubage. So let me get this back up, all the volume down. Go back over here where I can see a little bit. And here we go. This here is the CIA, the official CIA manual of trickery and deception. And we're trying some YouTube algorithms, motherfuckers, because I know how much they love shit like this. And I know how much YouTube loves free speech. So we're gonna try shit out over here. Give me just a second. I dropped
You may
my.
you may have to move the camera because I couldn't see any of the words of the book. I could see the cover, but I couldn't see the words.
Yeah, you probably ain't gonna be able to, bro. But I don't know. I may have to take a if you wanna
I was
wait
thinking
a
like
little bit.
I was thinking like maybe if you had a phone holder or something, you could prop the phone up and then set the book under it. You know what I mean?
Well, with StreamYard, without the I can't flip my camera back and forth.
Oh,
So, but the
you can. It's just hard.
I don't think you can on.
Hit the three buttons. Hit the three little dots right there where it says settings. Hit settings. Hit video where it says video. Switch from camera 2 to camera 1.
Camera two, one facing front. Camera two, three facing front. Camera two facing back. We'll try that. There we go.
Yeah. Do about fucking
Okay.
StreamYards.
Yeah, playing with StreamYard. Anyhow, let's see. This book was published in paperback in 2010. And the name is the official CIA manual of trickery and deception. Yeah, move that over like that a little bit.
So
And
today, folks, we'll be learning a little
but
bit
like
of how the CIA would interrogate you if they was to interrogate you, and see what kind of tricks and deception they use.
And in the forward, let's see. Harper says all statements of fact, opinion, or analysts expressed are those of the author and do not affect the official position and views of the CIA or the U.S. government. Nothing in this content should be constructed as asserting or implying U.S. government authentication of information or agency endorsement of the author's views. This material has been reviewed by the CIA to prevent disclosure of classified information. So, just in that statement right there, it tells me that there's more in here than they want us to know, probably. So, the acknowledgments, let me see, do a quick scan on it. Says it is unlikely that either John Mulholland or Dr. Sidney Gillespie, the CIA officer who authorized the creation of some operational applications of the art of deception and recognition signals, ever anticipated their manuals would become available to anyone without secret clearance. Both men understood that their respective professions as magicians or CIA officers required oaths of secrecy. The, magic- the magician's oath states, as a magician, I promise never to reveal the secret of any illusion to a non magician unless the one swears to uphold the magician's oath in turn. I promise never to perform any illusion for any non magician without first practicing the effect until I can perform it well enough to maintain the illusion of magic. Members of the magic committee disavow anyone seen as betraying this oath, but also recognize the necessity to expose secrets of their craft responsibly to students and others desirous of learning magic. In his book, 2003 book, Hiding the Elephant, How Magicians Invented the Impossible and Learned to Disappear, illusionist and author Jim Steinmeier addressed the conundrum faced by those seeking to write about magic, yet still preserve its mysteries. Huh. I ain't gonna go
So
through
pretty
the
much
whole.
what it says is hookers do tricks, magicians do illusions.
And guess what, you crazy motherfuckers? Freedom is an illusion they have allowed you to live with to this point in time. It's a fucking illusion. And now tell me, I wonder if in the magician's oath, if it's anything like somebody swearing an oath to the Constitution.
Well, it just
Because
told us what it was. It said the magician's oath is you won't tell anybody how the magic is done.
yes,
Yeah.
unless you're a student of magic or they swear not to tell the fucking secret neither. They don't have to be a student of magic, but as long as they swear not to tell the secret. And to me,
That's
that kind
crazy,
of
man.
sounds
That I mean, that's just fucking crazy how that is the CIA believes that they're magicians.
well, when actually it does, it is and it ain't to me. But anyway, starting right up here is a magician's oath. And actually, the government is some of the biggest magicians. They can sit right on live national fucking TV and fucking violate your fucking rights, screw the fuck out of you, and go against everything they said they was going to do, and then convince you that that's what they said they was going to do.
And not only that, they can tell you the truth right to your face, but yet you won't see it. That's the illusion.
Right? Right. Well, and that's what I've been saying about a lot of these movies, say The Matrix or Terminator, or and I'm not saying all of it's based in facts or what they know is already coming. Um, but there's a lot of technologies and shit that are busted out in movies 10, 20 years before we ever get there.
Oh, that's how it's
Just
always
like,
been. They tell you what we have. All the things that you see in the movie are true. That's just their way of disclosing it to us in the easiest way.
right. Well, just like the old gun that shoots around the corner with the smart bullet, or the drones, the individual attack swarm drones. There's been shit like that in movies for a minute, and now all of a sudden we get. I'm not going to read the forward or the acknowledgement goes on to say how Hindus hid his elephants. We're going to have to explain a few secrets.
Wait, you say it said something about Hindu?
Yeah, some guy, I believe it's Hindu, or it's Houdini, Houdini. Jesus
Houdini, yeah.
Christ,
Yeah, Houdini, another
Houdini.
magician.
Yeah. Well, Houdini was the man, and
Well, apparently
a
Houdini
lot.
was a fucking CIA agent.
Mm, well, yeah, you know. Well, there was talk about that even back then when he was alive, and he used the magic and a lot of the stunts he got. He done basically private shows for fucking heads of states and foreign countries and shit. So, you know, uh, it wouldn't surprise me if he was.
Well, I mean, if
But
you had a criminal and you couldn't catch him back then, I mean, what would be the easiest way? Hey, come watch Houdini kill himself.
right, or and a lot of the heads of states and shit like that were taken. Houdini captivated any audience, whether it was 1-on-1 or 1,000-on-1. He kept their undivided attention, and people wanted to be around him and know him and shit like that because of what he done.
And see that
So
that's where a magician comes back to that hooker thing. They're the ones that can, just make you believe whatever you want to believe, and you'll pay them to see it.
right, and
Yeah,
the whole time telling you the experience you're about to have is a fucking illusion. Ain't none of it real.
that's right.
But I loved you long time, Matic and Joe, all night long. So, but anyway, it says in order to understand how Houdini hid his elephant, we're going to have to explain a few secrets and to violate the sacred magician's oath in the process. I promise that there will be a few disappointments and more than a few astonishments. But to appreciate magic as an art, you'll have to understand not only the boldest deceptions, but also the subtlest techniques. You'll have to learn to think like a magician. I ain't going to read the rest of that. This is one of them deals. If some of this shit's what you want to know, you can get the book if you can still buy it, and we will go from there. And the first,
And I mean, that would be half the battle right there. If you can get somebody to believe something before they ever see it, you probably already won.
oh, absolutely, yeah, yeah. If you can, if you convince them that, yeah, you can pull it off, or that you got what it takes to cover it, or whatever. Um, that's half the battle. Convincing them that magic is real is half the battle. So the introduction, not the first chapter, the introduction is the legacy of MK Ultra and the missing magic manuals. And it's magic and intelligence are really kindred arts. John McLaughlin, former deputy director of Central Intelligence.
Well, see, that's the thing too. They say that the difference between magic and technology is the knowledge.
I'm not sure.
The
Difference
diff-
between magic,
the difference between magic and technology is the knowledge. If you don't know that it's technology and that it's a machine that's creating
right?
those types of things,
Right.
then it's magic. That's like if you landed in a plane in the middle of North Sentinel Island with them, the ones that don't let anybody on their island, they're going to think
Yep.
that plane is magic because they don't have a plane. They've never seen a plane, and they don't know how a plane runs. So to them, it's magic. But to you, it's just a plane because you know the technology in it. You have the knowledge.
Or a solar panel and a light bulb. Yes. And to some, and um, ancient aliens and even Bible theologists and whatnot today are looking at some of the biblical scriptures and debating on whether or not that it was actually technology and people not having the ability to understand, much less explain.
That's exactly right. That's why there was gods and God, because the gods had technology better than what those knew, and they believed it as something, heavenly or something like that. Whereas it wasn't, and that's why they have gods and it's lowercase. And yeah,
Right. Well, and something else to think about, since I brought up the Bible and shit, they say that uh, Eve was tempted. Well, basically, that God gave them everything and anything they wanted and all this other shit, and put something out there in the middle of the garden and called it the fruit of knowledge of good and evil, uh, and not to partake of that knowledge.
well, evil was created when he created Lilith, but yeah.
Well, it kind of depends. Anymore, I used to be real staunch, and if the Bible said it, I believe it, and that settles it type deal. Well, the modern day Bible and what most of us have an understanding of was transcribed by William fucking Shakespeare, and he was never known to embellish or fucking do anything for clicks and views. So uh,
Yeah, but
but
I'm sure for his own life he would have put whatever they told him to put, and that's why some things have been redacted, some things are changed, and whenever they're ran back to their actual Hebrew or wherever it came from, it's not the
mhm.
exact same as the way it sounds.
Yep. There's some words that have been completely misinterpreted. And some of them changed for benefit of the narration, but when you take all that old shit that he transcribed into what we got now, and some of the descriptions, physical descriptions of angel, the chariot going from east and west in the sky, and this and that and another, and when you get them down to a literal, physical description that they give you, it's ancient technology. It's fucking UFOs. It's whatever you want to call it. There's proof of it in the
You're
pyramids
getting a
and shit
wicked
like that.
static. You're getting feedback,
Uh, all right, give me just a second, and I will.
and now you're gone. You're doing that weird like a minute ago.
Let's see. Is this any better?
Not unless you're an actual robot.
Is this any better?
No, sir.
Let me check my connection right quick.
You got a real loud hum, like you got some wires touching or something every time you talk.
Audio.
As soon as you said something about aliens, you started sounding like one.
Is this any better?
No, sir.
No.
No, it's the same. You're same. You're still some kind of alien on a foreign planet.
Okay, give me just a second. I'll try some more. Yay, nay, any better? Can you
No,
hear me
no.
now?
Yeah, I hear you, but no, you're not better.
Still
The
no
snow
better?
planet. No. This Note 20 don't like to let the screen touch every now and then.
Hang on, I'll be right back.
All right. And for all of you here on the GFY channel, I'd just like to remind you to go fuck yourself, because that's the name of the channel. And we're glad to have you here. So after you fuck yourself, just remember to come on back and fuck with us. And I'm also proud to announce the sponsor of our show, Constitutional Cowboy. For whenever you need to see a cop get slapped around or bounced off a car, go on ahead and come by Constitutional Cowboy. We'll be happy to see you.
How do we sound now? Is that any better?
You sound like Cowboy now.
All right, then. Well, we will continue on. I just had to leave and come back. I've got my earbuds and all the same shit back in. So
That's okay. I ran a couple commercials while you did.
I could hear you. You just couldn't hear me. So, but anyway, so yeah, they're talking about magic. What I was getting at as far as the descriptions and ancient technology and all that. Um, just like what you know, Sentinel Island and an airplane or a light bulb. You're kind of a fucking god, you know, when you show up and do that.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, if you went back 2,000 years ago with your light bulb and you was like, hey, check this out, all of the people around you might fall out dead wondering how it worked.
Right.
Not only
And
that, I mean, not only that, but if you was to go back 2,000 years ago and grab one of them people and then bring them back to modern times, more than likely, I love saying this, we'd put them in a nut house because for one, they wipe their ass on the ground, and for two, they would have no idea how to live in modern day society.
insane old man. But yeah, and hey, I'd much rather see a dude wipe his ass on the ground, look like a dog with worms, than I had shake hands with one that would wipe his ass with his hand and then just wash it. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean that is true. And everybody wonders why Jesus used to go around wash everybody's feet.
Right? He was washing the corn off of his hands.
He had to get the taste out of his mouth one way or another.
That ain't no shit. Why's that dog licking his ass? Looks like he's trying to get taste out of his mouth.
Maybe not. Maybe he just really liked dinner.
he was practicing for the Last Supper, you know. Well, and if you listen to some of them, there's a lot of modern people that think, let's see, who was it? Was it John and Peter or something like that? And this all goes back to painting of the Last Supper and a B in the middle that symbolizes vagina or femininity or whatever. But
yeah,
I've heard a few theories now that there's that some people think that a couple of the apostles were actually females. So
I mean that could be, because back then they wasn't going to give them credit for anything, and I mean that is very smart, because throughout history, any patriarch that went to a matriarch has died out. So all of the women's lib and letting them do that, now you get into it and it gets into a little bit of some shit I don't even like talking about on that end of it. But
right.
the fact that we are not propagating the species, and what that means is we should be trying to get our best and brightest, and the way to do that is to have as many as we can, have as many people as we can, so that out of all of them, we can find the best and then have them propagate together and we advance the species. But by letting women get jobs and by letting women, go to schools and do the things that they want to do whenever they have their prime breeding time, because a woman can only breed for so many years, unlike a man. They are missing their prime breeding time. We are not propagating the species, and we are literally becoming idiocracy. That's a movie where the whole world becomes dumbasses, and that's because we have allowed the matriarchism or women's lib to slowly infiltrate everything, where a woman will never be equal to a man. And how you know that is you put them in a ring with a man and watch what happens.
Well, I mean, you got a point there, but you ain't even got to put them in a ring and let them go at each other. You take 15 men and
Well, the only reason I
set
say
on
this,
one island.
the only reason I say this
No,
is because if a woman was to come into control, what is to protect her from one man coming and taking it?
yep, a loyal, obedient subject at best,
or
or she's
or
one bad
another
bitch.
man. The only thing
Yep.
that can protect her is another man.
No, and well, there's been a lot of science and shit about that too, and even women staunch feminists. They're like, well, we don't need a man. Well, not today. Not today. You don't need a man.
But how we
No,
got here into society this
yep,
far
50
was
years,
on the
50,
backs. Yeah, was on the
yep,
backs of men. We wouldn't be the
50 years
stuff.
ago and shit like that. And I've seen guys that uh, you know, bitches be getting like that, and he's like, okay, you don't need a man. No, I don't need a man today. I got everything I need. Yeah, because a fucking man built it.
I want you to
Not
gather
saying that.
I want you to gather up all them tough women, the toughest women you know. I want you to put them on the boat and I want you to tell them to storm the beaches at Normandy and see what the hell happens.
Well, that would be kind of unfair because if you got men shooting back at them, especially men that've been on the front line, them bitches would roll up with their fucking titties out
It's
and
not
walk right
unfair,
up to them.
cowboy.
So,
It's not unfair. It's truthful. It is history. That's not
oh
unfair.
yeah,
That's common sense. Which now I said something stupid because if it was common, everybody would know it, and we would just
everybody
call
would
it
know
bullshit.
it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, we would. But now that's what is always going to happen. Even if they had a
Yeah,
team of women protecting one woman, there is nothing protecting that one woman.
no. Nothing that's going to stand up to half the amount of men with the same
That's right.
armament or whatever.
That's right.
And I agree. And I'm not. But and all that said, whether you want to take humanity, Bible, or whatever, and that part of the name of the channel, Ben Warp. I don't. I doubt you're familiar, my brother, but I'm gonna turn you on. Um, um, we all know about alphas and betas and sigmas and zenas and all this shit, tops and bottom, or most of us do, and or just dominant personality. Well, this motherfucker, old Ben Thorpe, I've been on him 3, 4 days. This dude will fucking make you want to commit felonies against him, commit more felonies against him, uh, make you feel like a dirty scumbag, especially if half the women on the planet perceive men a third of how fucking piece of shit as this dude comes off. I don't blame the motherfucker feminists for not wanting nothing to do with this man. This dude's a real piece of shit. Made me feel good about myself and bad about myself all at the same time. But anyway, we'll get to that a little later. We're here to fucking check it. YouTube's algorithm on the popular fucking words of the modern time and whatnot.
And in case
And
anybody forgot where you're at, you're watching the GFY channel, and that's Go Fuck Yourself, because that's the name of the channel. But we're glad to have you here, and stick with us.
or go find yourself, or get the fuck out of here, you idiot, or there's a lot of things about this channel that you can just go fuck yourself. So, but and YouTube, if you don't like this shit, you can go fuck yourself. That's the reason I'm playing with different platforms.
And when you get your hand out of there, come on back, and we'll be reading a book still.
Right. We got that introduction, the legacy of the MK Ultra, and the missing magic manuals. And of course, John McLaughlin, former deputy director of the CIA, magic and intelligence are really kindred arts. Uh, it says in 2007, the authors discovered a long lost CIA file, once classified top secret, which revealed extraordinary details of the agency's connections to the world of magic decades earlier. The document's part of Project MK Ultra, which we all know is fucking true and has happened, shed light on a fascinating and little known operation, the employment of John Mulholland as CIA's first magician, an accomplished author and America's most respected conjurer of his day. Mulholland authored 2 illustrated manuals for teaching CIA field officers how to integrate, integrate,
Integrate.
integrate, yes,
Integrate. Yeah, integrate.
integrate, yes, integrate, yes, elements of the magician's craft into clandestine operations, due in part to the extraordinary levels of secrecy surrounding MK Ultra. The manuals were considered too sensitive to be distributed widely, like all copies were believed to have been destroyed in 1973. Nearly 50 years after they were written, rumors of the existence of a long lost copy of the Magician's Manual continued to fly through the corridors of Langley. But how many intelligence officers thought they were a myth to understand the CIA's first magician and how his remarkable manual came to be? It is necessary to recall one of the most dangerous periods in U.S. history. Now, I'm going to stop right there. Fucking, I got into a discussion on the channel, on the panel the other night on Roro's deal, and shit like that. And there's no statement that says any man that would trade liberty for security deserves neither. And I firmly believe that. And that's kind of what I got out of that right there. They're saying the shit we're fixing to tell you is going to blow your fucking mind, make you sick, and piss you off about all the shit the government does, not only to foreign entities, but to you.
And I want to
But
give a
it's
little,
for your own safety.
I want to give a
Go
little
ahead,
breakdown of what MK Ultra is in a very quick little thought. How I was talking about propagating a species. What MK Ultra is they took people that had higher IQs, most parents that had children, and those children from the higher IQ parents, they sent them to a what we'll call, say, like boot camp. And the boot camp was MK Ultra, and what they did there is they tried to enhance certain places of the mind of these higher intelligent children, and even adults too, so that they could target certain areas like telepathy, kinesis, things like this, and see if they could enhance that by only working at that. That's pretty much the gist of MK Ultra. They was trying to make kind of like super soldiers, with each one of them having their own special little power.
Yes, and also to where the super soldiers did know they were super soldiers, a lot of it had to do with brainwashing, mind control. Just as, and
That's exactly
I
right.
think
Yeah,
the core of it
mind
was
control.
more about the mind control and using the mind control to where if the mind overrides it, then the body's just going to follow to the point that you could stab them in the arm, they wouldn't feel it and shit like that. But they had no fucking recollection of any of the bullshit they had done, seen, or been through. Oh yeah, something like the Bourne series, the Bourne Identity, and all the Treadstone, and a lot of that mirrors what kind of went on with MK Ultra.
Yeah, Born Identity is a perfect mirror of what they did. That's right.
You know, uh, but but at the very last deal about all the copies were destroyed because the government damn sure don't want you to know what in the fuck they done to you. Uh, Much less the magicians that you pay to go see. Uh, and this is probably made up, but even if it ain't, it's some real gnarly shit. And remember, it was for your safety. Fuck your liberty. We're protecting you. Just, so give up your liberty. That's what I always hear and shit like that. For your safety.
So that
And
would mean that Central Intelligence is just an illusion.
no, is Central Intelligence an illusion? Or is it a fact, but the illusion is that you think they're there protecting you?
Well,
Because it's,
the illusion is the fact that they're telling you that they're there to collect intelligence, where everybody sees that that's what they're doing because they told you right to your face. But what they're really collecting intelligence on is people. Doesn't matter what country
yes,
they're from. Doesn't matter if they're
yes,
American,
yes,
Canadian,
yes,
Mexican. They're collecting intelligence, and that means that they're trying to see how the human works, what the human
yes,
will do, what the human won't do, things like that.
yes. And I've never scoped out the legal ramifications or truth to it. I know that the IRS is a fucking insurgent foreign government, and there's been a whole lot of suggestion and indication saying the same thing about the CIA. And and I kind of tend to believe it because we know they've been smuggling coke for years into the country. Not just coke, but all illicit drugs. That's how they have funded 2/3 of their blacklisted fucking shit.
Well, not only
Uh,
that, okay, even the street cops, whenever they're going out and they're doing their controlled buys and their controlled sales, where do you think they get the drugs from? I mean, we
Absolutely.
know we know that they get
Well,
drugs from other criminals, and they have that in the evidence room. But I mean, drugs don't last forever, folks. They have to get new drugs. It's not like they can go out there with a month old drugs and try to sell
well,
that to somebody. Ain't nobody buying that shit.
well, for one, while the case is ongoing until there's a conviction or a dismissal, they can't use them said drugs that they claim to keep stored in the evidence room and put them back out there, like because then the evidence is tainted, the chain of command, proof, and all that is out the fucking window. So,
That's
yeah, they've
exactly
got to
right.
have a connection to get
And
their
they
dough.
That's right, and they got to have that dope to get their criminals, because how are you going to believe that somebody is just like you if they can't supply drugs? You know what I mean? If they're not selling you something that's real, you're not going to buy it. I mean, if I'm sitting there and
Right?
he hands me some clippings from his yard, I'm be like, dude, this ain't weed. You know what I'm saying? So they have to have real drugs. So yes, they've been smuggling drugs for years, and that's so
No.
that they could use it to entrap you, to get you to come fuck yourself over.
Well, when you look at it, an agency that high up the list, and that was one of the fucking first fucking federal secret agencies that were really there. J. Edward Hoover actually had more power than any president from the inception. No, that Hoover was the FBI.
Yeah, I was about to get you
Wasn't it?
there. Hoover
Yeah,
was the FBI.
yeah, FBI. Um,
The G-Man.
Yes, but well, Hoover was a public place that actually had more going up. He had more dirt on everybody. The little fucking tranny cross dressing son of a bitch, and that's where his power come from. The CIA is basically has been a blacklisted fucking covert
Harry S. Truman,
insurgent
Harry S. Truman
insurgent.
founded the CIA.
Yes,
The United
I
States
was,
Central Intelligence Agency dates from September 18, 1947, when President Harry S. Truman signed the National Security Act of 1947 into law.
and you know, and it's kind of funny shit like that right there to create government agencies and all this other bullshit. You know, through time and history, and they convinced us it was convenience and this and that, and that, and if we voted for a guy from, if we was a constituent, that guy was obligated to vote and to do what the fuck we told him to do. And through the years, it's been bastardized, just like a cop, which was citizen on patrol, not a government clown in a costume.
The original name was the Office of the Coordinator of Information.
Say that one more time, brother.
The original name was the Office of the Coordinator of Information, and it was led by World War I hero General William Wild Bill Donovan.
So, that's one hell of a name for somebody that's supposed to be covert and go unseen and all that shit. Was they trying to use him for intimidation, or just because he got shit done, or because he got shit done through intimidation?
And then that was in 1941. In 1942, it was changed to the Office of Strategic Services.
That's a pretty fucking name and a $10 word all the way through it.
Wild Bill Donovan also led that.
The Office of Strategic Information.
Yep.
Or services.
Analyze strategic information and conduct unconventional and paramilitary operations.
But it don't say unconventional or paramilitary operations where, does it?
Foreign countries. Actually, then it says foreign countries.
Okay.
In 1945, it was changed to the Strategic Services Unit. In 1946, they gave it a name more like what we're used to, the Central Intelligence Group. In 1947, they renamed it the Central Intelligence Agency. And then to what we know nowadays as the, C.I.A., Central Intelligence Agency.
And they say, when was George Bush Sr. Director there? What was that, back in the 60s? Or was it the late 50s and early 60s? Because George Bush Sr. Was CIA the head man for fucking quite a few years. But MK Ultra was also supposedly attached, related to, and I can't remember the guy's name. I remember the story.
In 1976, Bush became the director of Central Intelligence.
Okay,
here she is.
Bush ran for president in 1980, but was defeated in the Republican presidential primaries by Ronald Reagan, who then selected Bush as his vice presidential running mate.
You hear that?
No, I did.
Yep.
But it's pretty funny how when they started it out that they used all these fucking what'd you say, the CIA was signed into law in 42 or 46?
42.
42. What was that, 10, 12 years after the Great Depression? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah. And Truman was a fucking 32nd degree Mason. Uh, but
Well, no, in 41 and 42 is whenever they came up with the first office. It wasn't actually signed into or it wasn't actually named the Central Intelligence Agency
well,
until
yeah.
1947 when Harry S. Truman did it.
Oh, that's when it got changed to the C.I.A. Then was in
Yeah,
47.
that's when they picked up the name we're used to. Yes,
Okay. So when did the CIA first come about? Then hold on, I'll
1940,
help you look.
1941 and 1942.
Okay,
That's when
but it started out with the Office of Coordinator of Information.
yes, the Office
Oh,
of the Coordinator of Information was in 1941. In 1942, the Office of Strategic Services. In 1945, the Strategic Services Unit. In 1946, the Central Intelligence Group. And then in 1947, the Central Intelligence Agency.
but my point and the name changes and shit. The Office of Information Coordinator. That would suggest to me, even today, that if there was any FOIA request that I wanted, or any public information on a federal level, that I would go through that office. And so they used deception and trickery in the fucking names. And I'm going to have to dig in this a little more just on this conversation to try to find articles or whatever surrounding them signing it into law and the birth of the agency or the Office of Information Coordinator. And because I'm real curious how it was
Frustrated
presented.
Frustrated by the piecemeal stovepiped information he was receiving, President Franklin D. Roosevelt created the Office of the Coordinator of Information, led by World War I hero General William Wild Bill Donovan. COI's main goal was to gather foreign intelligence related to the war. As World War II progressed, Donovan and President Roosevelt reevaluated COI's size, organization, and mission. At Donovan's suggestion, President Roosevelt transformed COI into a new office with a title that reflected the importance of strategy in intelligence gathering and clandestine operations. And that was in 1942, the Office of Strategic Services.
So in 42, they kind of started getting a little bit honest about what was going on, but used the war or the end of a war to the fear to say this is necessary for this money and this group and everything else, and this is what they're going to be doing, and this is why we got to do it. Uh, so they use,
Listen
they're
to this
already
part.
proven.
Though through the new office. No, it does say though, but it don't spell it right. Though the new office met some resistance from other U.S. agencies, OSS continued to grow its worldwide intelligence capabilities through military, diplomatic, and non-official cover. At its peak, OSS employed over 13,000 military personnel and civilians, 35% of whom were women.
Uh, the one thing that caught me was that when you went to abbreviating the Office of Strategic Services, OSS, oh, it's the SS.
Yeah, I got that too.
You know, and I believe that they use little breadcrumb trails like acronyms and shit as such to go, well, it was right there in front of you, that trickery and deception. So, but anyway, yeah, like I said, it sounds like that they, sold a bill of goods and for it to go from one year to the next, going from, an office of, the Office of Information Coordinator to the Office of Strategic Services. Um, we know how government works. We know how it worked even back then. In one fucking year, to have from the time it was quote quote legal and approved and authorized and all that to, within a calendar year, you know, I guess at the time was right. It could have damn near been 2 years. But we all know shit don't happen in government in 2 years. So to me, or for them to be birthing an agency and at the longest possible timeline, it being from the day that it started to the end of the fucking 42, uh, where it could have been stretched out for 2 years to have a complete restructure and I guess directive or mission statement of a government agency seems pretty fucking suspicious to me. Um,
The CIA has been called into question for at times using torture, funding and training of groups and organizations that would later participate in killing of civilians and other non-combatants and would try or succeed in overthrowing democratically elected governments, human experimentation, and targeted killings and assassinations. The CIA has also been accused of a lack of financial and whistleblower controls, which has led to waste and fraud.
uh huh. And they say accused. Um, there has been proof laid up more than once about the CIA's drug smuggling. Uh, and the, you know, the dirt has been proved more than once, and we've been told that we're just one people or whatever, and the government's bigger than us, and we can't change nothing. We ain't going to change shit, and they're going to get away with it. Just accept it. That's just the way it goes. Another complete bastardization of the way things are supposed to work.
In
Work,
2000,
there's.
in
Go ahead.
2014, the New York Times reported that in the decades after World War II, the CIA and other United States agencies employed at least 1,000 Nazis as Cold War
Hmm.
spies and informants as recently as the 90s, concealed the government's ties to some still living in America, newly disclosed records and interviews show. According to Timothy Naftali, the CIA's central concern in recruiting former Nazi collaborators was not so much the extent of the criminal's guilt as the likelihood that the agent's criminal past could remain a secret. So not only did we take all of them and bring them here, at least 1,000 Nazis, but it was so that we could hide what they had done.
Because we wanted to use it. That's the only reason that they wanted to hide what the Nazis had done, because this government, this pure and righteous government that put down the Shitlers and the Holocaust and all of that bullshit, the great fucking triumphant, the great white savior as it goes. Uh, and I'm gonna say it, and I hope I piss some motherfuckers off. And you've heard me say it 1,000 times, brother. The only
You're
difference
gonna have to.
between that,
There it went. You're gonna have to cut out
I,
and come back on. You're gonna have to turn it off and turn
I'll
it back. All right.
be back in a minute.
And for those of you, if you are actually tuned in, thank you for watching. We're doing a little something different today. Uh, Me and Cowboy have been reading from the Declassified CIA book on magicians and illusions, and hopefully we'll get back to another page here real quick. But if not, we just like to remind you to go fuck yourself, because that's where you're at and that's what you're watching. But we're glad to have you here, and anytime you can, stop by the Constitution Cowboy channel. We'd be glad to have you there too. And in the off chance you ever run into an officer and he asks you where you got your law degree at, you tell him the University of YouTube.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
All right. But I'm gonna say it again. The one time I ain't gonna forget fucking coming into a room. The only difference between that SS OSS flag over in fucking Berlin and the beautiful fucking Old Glory. There's two differences I can tell you. One of them ain't got no black in the flag itself, and your motherfucking perceptions, because they're both built on the same hate, genocide, and fucking elite, fucking inhumane thought process and procedures. And people go, oh, well, then, that's just what happened. It's, 250 years later. The Indians lost, we won, and that's just the way it is. Blah, blah, blah. No, bullshit. It's built on the same fucking genocide, and they're still, perpetuating that genocide today, only on their own people, through clowns in costumes and the CIA and blah, 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 blah. But yeah, everybody wants to fucking bow down and worship, the fucking American flag and, the righteousness and fucking, purity and the savior of the fucking world. And it's a goddamn lie. So, anyway. Well, I guess I'll read another page, brother, unless there's something else you want to hit.
Nope, keep going.
Okay, like I said, they ended, it says, the manuals came to be, they wanted to hide the way they come to be, and it's necessary to recall. Now, I remind you, one of the most dangerous periods in U.S. history. It's all for your safety, folks. With its establishment in July of 47, say this book's off here, it says the establishment was in July of 47, when we already know it was in 41. The C.I.A. received two primary missions: prevent surprise foreign attacks against the United States and counter the advance of the Soviet communism into Europe and third world nations. Offices of the agency, as the C.I.A. became known, would be on the front lines of the Cold War for 4 tense decades, fueled by nuclear stalemate, incompatible ideologies, and the Soviet government obsessed with secrecy. What? These fucking idiots. All right. Anyway, at home, the USSR security and intelligence organizations, the KGB, and its predecessors cowed the internal population, and abroad they attempted to undermine foreign governments aligned with the West. The Soviet Union's successful testing of nuclear weapons in 1949 caught the United States by surprise and created two nuclear powers competing in an international atmosphere of fear and uncertainty. President Eisenhower received a starting top secret report in 1954 from a commission headed by retired General James H. Doolittle that concluded if the U.S. is to survive long-standing, American concepts of fair play must be considered. We must learn to subvert, sabotage, destroy our enemies by cleverly, more sophisticated and more effective methods than used against us. It may become necessary that the American people become acquainted with, understand, and support this fundamental, repugnant philosophy. It's vital that the American people be fucking brainwashed to accept this. That's what they just said. The report affirmed a threat to the Western democracies from Soviet sponsored aggressors and called for an American offensive and defensive intelligence posturing unlike anything previously authorized in peacetime. As a result, the CIA's covert action role expanded from Europe into the Middle East, Africa, Latin America, the Far East, reflecting on those years more than half a century later, former U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger asserted that during the decade of the 50s, only the United States stood between Soviet led communists and world freedom. All right. Well, they just said from the inception of 41 to what did I say that last date was in late 50s. So over a decade, the CIA, just by what they said right there, was a known absolute goddamn failure because they didn't know the fucking Soviets were developing the nuclear weapons, didn't know they were ready to test bomb, all this other bullshit. And that was their only fucking job. And they fucking failed miserably and then come out and said, well, it's imperative you get used to the idea of fucking everybody over, stabbing them in the back and fucking lying to them. And what's this country built on today? It was built on lies then. It was built on lies 50 years ago. And not only that, they told us to lie to each other and said it is normal. Because if you got a problem with them, they're your fucking enemy and it's okay to do whatever it takes to win. I rest my case. You still with me, brother?
Oh yeah, keep reading.
So, well, I mean, that's pretty much what I got out of that deal. Is there anything there you wanted to hit, or?
No, that I think we just covered that pretty much.
I mean, because pretty much it goes to that, yeah, that Russia was a bad guy, we was a good guy, and we had to fuck them up no matter what. So, all right. Says the CIA had been engaged in covert programs since its creation, and in 51 formed a special unit, the Technical Services Staff (TSS), to exploit advances in U.S. technologies in support of espionage operations. All right, right there. They, from what I just got out of that and what I understand, they basically, the CIA, willfully, knowingly, and greedily exploited American technologies, private companies, private citizens, blah, 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 exploited. That means used, abused, misused, and all that shit, technology for their own personal fucking usage. So they done damage to American citizens, private citizens and corporations for the betterment of the government goddamn complex and the elite of the fucking world.
So another way to say that would be like, say you came up with some great invention that is going to change your life and make you a millionaire. Not anymore. They came through and took that from you because it'll help our country.
We'll say I come up with, a glitter fart and unicorn cum and fucking fairy dust that would fucking, uh, put to sleep every nuclear device out there. Just fucking null and fucking void. And the government's like, well, all that shit's gone. We can't use all the fucking fear and propaganda that we're telling our people that these people are doing because they're the bad guys. And if we put an end to what we're using to fund this bullshit factory, we don't have any more funding. All right, I'll keep going. So, go. One of the TSS first employees was Dr. Sidney Gottlieb. Looks like Gottlieb and then a B at it. Anyway,
Gottlieb.
who's Gottlieb, uh, whose degree in chemistry from the California Institute of Technology made him a logical choice to head the handful of chemists in the staff. Initially, the chemistry branch created and tested formulas for special inks for secret writing that enabled CIA spies to embed invisible messages and otherwise in I would say inconspicuous, but it ain't conspicuous. Yeah, it is inconspicuous correspondence to conceal the liquid disappearing inks. TSS reformulated the liquids into a solid. From that, looked like aspirin tablets and repackaged the tablets in pill bottles that would pass unnoticed in an agent's medicine cabinet. When a spy had information to convey, he would dissolve the tablet in water or alcohol to reconstitute the ink for its secret message. TSS supported other activities of agents as well, forging travel and identity documents for agents who worked under alias names, printing and propaganda leaflets, installing clandestine microphones and cameras, and building concealments for spies, equipment, and future in furniture, briefcase, and clothing. To those uninitiated in the craft of espionage, the secretive work of the TSS scientists and engineers at times appeared to accomplish the impossible. In reality, the handful of CIA scientists was demonstrating the third law of prediction advanced by science fiction author C. Clarke. Any significantly advanced technology is undistinguishable from magic. I
That's
agree.
right. And without the knowledge,
Ma-
technology is undistinguishable from magic.
Absolutely. Well, and that's like take the Great Pyramids. You know, I remember coming up in school and this shit and another, and them telling me how big the rocks was and how big the pyramid, and it was like, wow, them poor motherfuckers had to work hard. Uh, but having an understanding the reality of it, because see, if they would have tried to tell me about the pyramids today at my age and understanding and the life experience I got, and they tried to tell me that they built a sand ramp, blah blah blah, and they transported all this shit from 500 miles up, I'd have laughed at them and told them they're goddamn idiots. And that's the reason they teach us that shit in school.
Unless they're using sound.
Well, you got sound because they've already proved with sound right wave when you get the harmonical frequency that an object fucking vibrates at.
It's resonance, what it resonates at. Yeah, it's resonating vibration.
Yes, they've already proved it that when you tune in on them fucking frequencies, you can either utterly destroy it, make it fucking levitate, almost make it liquid, like pouring concrete and all this other shit.
That's even Nikola Tesla, when in his hotel that he lived in, he took a metronome and he was able to find the resonance of the building, how it swayed in the wind, and he did somewhat what they called create an earthquake just by matching that metronome to the resonance of the building as it swayed in the breeze, and it made it start pounding. Boom, boom, boom.
And that's when they had the rolling fucking blackout that shut down half the East Coast. And then Tesla reached over and flipped on his fucking AC generator and restored power.
That's right.
You know that fuck? What's the name of that hotel that he died
I
in?
don't know the name of the hotel he stayed at, but I mean, I do know the hotel. I just don't know the name.
Well, do you know the history on that hotel and the truth about it?
No.
Tesla's biggest issue with all of his Tesla coils, well, between Westinghouse and fucking old dipshit one that got credited for
The
fucking
New Yorker Hotel.
I thought it was a New Yorker hotel, but anyway, um, that motherfucker still got an AC generator in that son of a bitch that's still able to power half of fucking New York City. There is some would call it conspiracy, some would say rumor. I say it's fucking enough actual shit to suggest that between Tesla had a couple of private benefactors along with the government, the CIA maybe, that helped finance that fucking hotel. He was behind the building and the fucking power grid that's in that hotel. And when you look at the substructure and the basements and all of that, it is a super Tesla car. I mean, one that's beyond any scale that he had built, or that he had presented, and that's how they say or suggest that the incident that you're talking about happened was due to the fact of the generator and shit that he had, and that he matched that frequency intentional, but he used that fucking generator and whatnot not only to do it, but to also power the fucking blackout that it caused. So, and it's pretty funny. Government agencies knew 2 days prior to anybody else that he was dead, and 80 trunks of his shit come up gone.
Yeah, that's right. They came in and took that as soon as he died. As soon as he died, they came in and cleared the room. Yep. In 1933, he moved into the hotel until his death in 1943. He stayed in 3327 and 3328.
Yep, they were, I believe, adjoining rooms, and they also all added up to the Tesla 369 Holy Trinity of numbers. So they say that if he was going to go into a building, he would walk around the building. It was either 3 or 6 times before he would go in, and he was a firm believer. Tesla's the one that found out that I don't remember it has to do with running fucking rolling fucking. I don't remember. I'll have to fucking. There's something about 369 that some fucking.
If you could understand the power in the numbers of 3, 6, and 9, you would understand the creation of the universe.
Yes, that's what Tesla said. He said that they held the keys, and then there was some mathematical fucking formula paradox deal that the 369 code was a key to, or whatever. Or that's where he found the repetitiveness of 3, 6, and 9, where no other numbers do that shit, but 3, 6, and 9 do to an infinite fucking measure. So, but yeah, Tesla. I think Tesla was one of the demigods, at the very least.
According to the theory of Nikola Tesla's 369, there are altogether 1 to 9 digital root numbers exist. All other higher or lower numbers are the combination of those digital root numbers. This statement seems quite true when we compare it with the theory of absolutivity. Yeah, I mean, that was so strong, I don't even know what it meant.
0 through 9 are the basis of all numbers. Read it one more time if you don't care to, bro.
Okay. According to the theory of Nikola Tesla's 369, there are altogether 1 to 9 digital root numbers exist. All other higher or lower numbers are the combination of those digital root numbers.
Well, you know what's pretty funny? Uh, this is the first time I have heard digital referred or referenced in any of Tesla's shit. Digital frequencies and all of that, to my knowledge, was not known in his time.
And what it says is those numbers are powerful whenever you're manifesting. So when you want to bring things to life, you do it 3 times, times, 9 times, and it that's how you manifest.
But yes, but there was some math equation that, and I may have it wrong. And what do they call it? They say you got sacred geometry.
Yep.
And this is supposed to fit in with the sacred geometry and points. And there's a math problem that 3, 6, and 9 were the only three that I don't remember. I can't recall the exact connection, but yeah, according to him, 3, 6, and 9, and understanding the relevance and the power was the key to the universe. And there was some mathematical shit to it. And what you're talking about has to do with my understanding about the resonance frequencies uh, and the pineal gland and the third eye and some of that. Because there's a lot of shit out there that uh, about the 369 and the pineal gland and uh, all that good stuff.
This is kind of crazy. According to Foxworth, the government was vitally interested in preserving Tesla's papers. 2 days after Tesla's death, representatives of the Office of Alien Property went to his room at the New Yorker hotel and seized all his possessions.
Well, yeah, that yes, that was on record that they done that, and that department done it, and they said 2 days after his death. Well, when they went in there and started in on all this shit, and the official receipt of what they claim they took, there's evidence that other government agencies had been in that room prior to uh, them people, and it suggested that what Tesla had been, I think, dead like nearly 2 days prior to him being discovered. And then 2 days after they figured out, discovered the body, that's when that other agency went in there. So there's conspiracies out there that there was 4 days to maybe a week of Tesla, uh, of them maybe having access to that room. But there's actual fucking documented evidence that somebody got there before the alien Office of Alien Properties got there. And some of his shit has ended up in places in foreign countries too. You see, he was from Romania, not Romania. Anyway, there's some museum over there that this agency gives some of his shit back to. One of the trunks or something.
He was born in Smiljan.
Smiljan, Croatia.
Croatia, yes. Snowden, is that what you said?
Smirjan.
Smirjan.
The Austrian Empire of New Croatia. Or now Croatia, yeah.
Well, they got a museum over there, something like the big ones around here. I can't even. It's a federal museum type deal. What's the big ones that
The Smithsonian.
the Smithsonian, something like the Smithsonian over there. But anyway, they got some of his trunks, and they got this shit back because they filed some nation of origin type bullshit that basically he was one of their citizens, and some of this shit was basically intellectual property of that government. Uh, but some of the information that is said to be contained in these, I think it was three trunks that they got back, uh, could prove a lot of the conspiracies, prove or disprove. And they're like, yeah, we've seen it. We know what's there, but fuck y'all. No, they're hiding something. So, and most people today don't realize that Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and wireless charging,
The FM
and
radio, the TV remote.
yep, RF, the whole, every bit of that is an absolute direct result of Nikola Tesla and his mental capacity.
In reference to Edison, he said, "Now is his, but the future is mine."
Yep. That's pretty heavy when you stop and look at all the shit that Edison done to fucking Tesla.
Made him look like a mad scientist because he had more money and friends.
And
And
well,
the only patent or invention Tesla ever sold was the FM radio for $1 million.
hmm and look at all the shit that he either was giving the shit away or not telling nobody about it. And well, since we stay on subject, run one fucking thing through uh, look at the comparisons, and I can't tell you what they are except the ones that just hit me of Tesla and Da Vinci. Just stop and think about some of the shit Da Vinci come up with. It's proved that Da Vinci had fucking deep water diving apparatuses, you know, that look real similar to what they used to, in modern times. He drew fucking pictures of tanks, uh, built the first fucking Autotron or robot, uh, had shit that was futuristic that nobody could understand. And they all thought he was fucking a little bit crazy. And there's shit that's being found out, about Da Vinci even still today. Uh, and the shit and the secrets and the knowledge. It's and Da Vinci,
Da Vinci and Nikola Tesla both slept the same way. Their cycle consisted of taking 6 20-minute naps evenly distributed throughout the day.
that number six, that number six. Um, but and they say 6 20-minute naps to a 24-hour period. 4, 24. Anyway, I was trying to figure it in. Never mind.
By sleeping that way, by following this unique regimen, he gained an additional 20 years of productivity during his 67 years of life. He would only sleep 1.5 hours a day.
In 20-minute increments. That's fucking crazy. I knew he had some weird sleep habits. I didn't know they were like that. I damn sure didn't know that Da Vinci had the same thing.
Well,
But
it technically says that Da Vinci slept 20 minutes, but Nikola Tesla slept 15.
I wonder what the math deviation is in that from 15 to 20.
Well, I know it's only 1.5 hours at 15 minutes.
Right? 15 is a quarter of an hour.
So 5 times 6.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I didn't know that. Uh, huh. And see, the reason, well, I believe the reason that people have done what they've done to Tesla, and I think they've told us repeatedly, and they have also showed us, Tesla said that electricity was already around us. We don't generate it or anything else. And the way that we utilize it today is the most inefficient fucking way, basically, that there is to utilize it. And
That comes
that,
back to that illusion. That comes back to that illusion. Okay, the illusion is you're paying for something that like a service. Okay, you're paying for something that's a service, but it isn't a service because it's here.
yep. And, it's a way, and one of the Yellowstone prequels, I think it's 1883, where the adaptation of electricity and shit like that. But anyway, yeah, you know, uh, the shit's already here. He has proven in the Tesla coil and based some theories. And there's been a bunch of people that show in short-term deals. There was a little deal on Discovery or something about Tesla and the whole high tech fucking educated redneck blonde headed dude that's worked for NASA and all kinds of shit. Using, mock versions of Tesla coils. Well, they actually run a radio controlled boat and the fucking transmitter for the radio control, nor the boat had fucking batteries or any power source. And
Time to cut off and cut back on. And while he's doing that, in a different note, the Pentagon's intelligence branch is developing new tech to help it track the mass movement of people around the globe and flag anomalies. The project is called Hidden Activity Signal and Trajectory Anomaly Characterization Haystack. Just, little something for people to look up if they want.
can you hear me now?
No, still bad.
Be back in just a second. How we sound now?
Good.
Okay. But they proved that Tesla's theory of wireless electrical use and shit, uh, and it being transmitted, basically cell towers and 5G is Nick Tesla's wireless transmission of energy. Uh, the distance and shit that the majority of them have to be for the signal and all this other shit. It's also proven in wireless charging. On these, little phone, what they call them, charging stations. You can just lay your fucking phone on it, and it will automatically, wirelessly, without fucking charge a battery. And then they look at us like we're fucking, I don't know, vagrants that want something for nothing. When we're like, well, what the fuck? But And I think Tesla was also the one of the first or the first one that said the pyramids, wooden tombs or anything like that, that they were power generated. And there is workable theories that in computer simulation and reduced down scales that prove that the fucking pyramids are fucking power stations. Oh, or they prove it to me, but the ramblings of a fucking bored son of a bitch. All right, well, we'll read a little bit more. We ended at the TSS stealing shit from Americans for espionage and author using science fiction author Arthur C. Clarke. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Dr. Sidney Galibi, Chief C.I.A. Technical Service Division from 66 to 73. Galibi and his chemists expanded their research during 53 to counter another unanticipated Soviet threat. The 3-year-long Korean War had stalemated, and all the alliances of North Korea, China, and the Soviet Union seemed on the road to mastering the art of mind control, MK Ultra. Such a capability could render soldiers and possible entire populations vulnerable. Entire populations vulnerable uh, to communist propaganda. It couldn't render them vulnerable to American bullshit and propaganda, but to communist propaganda and influences. Reports reached the CIA about Soviet clandestine successes with mind control and newly discovered capabilities to brainwash, recruit, and operate agents with the aid of drugs. Mind control appeared to allow communists, not Americans, communists, using a combination of psychological techniques, and newly developed pharmacological compounds to remotely alter a subject's mental capacities and control his free will. Despite limited research on similar topics during World War II and the early 50s, the scientists underlying the reported Soviet says underlying, I think it means undermining the reported Soviet successes remained a mystery. America needed to understand the significance the scientists bias of mind control and develop safeguards and, if necessary, application for its own use. Sorry, I butchered all that shit. The fucking focus is gone. I need help with classes. Donate money. In March of 53, Alan Dulles, director of C.I.A., entrusted the 34-year-old Galibi with one of America's most secret and sensitive Cold War programs. Code name, can you guess it? MK Ultra. Dulles authorized TSS and Galibi chemical staff to begin work on multiple projects for research and development of chemical, biological, and radiological materials capable of employment in clandestine operations to control human behavior. All right, I'm going to pause right there. It says in 53, dude told him, go into your fucking meth lab and cook up some fucking Nazi fucking dope. and this and take over fucking some of the American bullshit, industry and private fucking shit, and let's fuck with people's heads chemically, biologically, and radiology with radiation. Sorry, get tongue tied these days. Um, Capable of it says employment, but it should be deployment in clandestine operations to control human behavior. Well, I got one question. I have no doubt that that was your fucking mission statement to use fucking drugs, biology, and psychology uh, to see how bad you could fuck, and radiology, see how bad you could fuck somebody up and how bad you could break them down or warp them or whatever, uh, to where they just done what the fuck you said. Where did they get their volunteers? I mean, did they run ads and shit in the newspaper, medical research? Oh, I know where they got one. It was down in New Orleans where a CIA dude dropped some LSD off into an old boy's fucking shit, and then due to a bad trip and all this other shit, or maybe fighting the fucking demons they were trying to fucking put in his head, the old boy fucking does a swan dive out of a fucking fourth or fifth story fucking hotel window, or that's what they say. Um, because it drove him fucking literally insane. And he did not sign any fucking paperwork saying he agreed to the shit. So isn't that chemical, biological, and otherwise any other means of attack against American citizens? Have been an absolute failure for fucking 15 years now. And so they decided that they're going to attack American citizens for their own fucking safety to put down the bad fucking not or USSR. And it wasn't even Nazis then; it was just the Soviet Union, the communists. Have we ever had one uh, subject of MK Ultra ever come forward and go, "Yeah, I signed up knowing what in the fuck was going on. Yeah, I wanted to be part of that." Didn't Jason Bourne come back and say that he agreed to what they done to
Yeah,
him?
that is funny. Yeah, thank you.
Right? Thanks for all you done for me. So, I mean, I don't know. Some stains can't wash away, but uh, to have complete and total fucking amnesia and have fucking 13 Russian fucking mafioso and a couple of fucking Russian law dogs encircle you, and you're like, man, we're gonna have some Eddie Rice for breakfast today, Kung Fu Panda, and they're all laying on the fucking ground, and it was just like blinking. I mean, that's a pretty fucking some pretty badass superhero shit. But it also shows how strong and weak the human mind is. Okay, MK Ultra eventually encompassed 149 sub projects. 149 with lines and lines of volunteers that couldn't wait to fucking, be a lab rat. 149 sub projects and remained one of the C.I.A.'s most carefully guarded secrets for over 20 years. And projects aimed to understand how drugs and alcohol altered human behavior and to prevent American assets from Soviet psychological, psychological and psychopharmaceutical manipulation. The research included clandestine acquisitions of drugs. What? The CIA was involved in clandestine acquisitions of drugs? Say it ain't so. Drugs, clinical testing on and experiments with humans, some of whom were unaware of said testing, and the grant proposals and contractors with hospitals. This might be why I don't go to fucking doctors. With and contractors with the hospitals, companies, and individuals. The scientists investigated topics ranging from concocting, from concocting truth serum to developing a humane way to incapacitate guard dogs using a powerful tranquilizer mixed into ground beef. Peanut butter works better because they can't bark while they're doing it. Anyway, several projects involved research on little understanding mind altering drugs such as LSD and marijuana. Oh, they had to throw marijuana in there because they'll fuck you up. Ain't nobody ever jumped out of a fucking hotel window fucking smoking a joint. Go fuck yourself. Anyway, in the end, the research produced an assortment of potentially offensive capabilities involving incapacitating, lethal, and untraceable toxins. Several projects involved research on little understood mind altering drugs such as LSD and marijuana. In the end, the research produced an assortment of potentially offensive capabilities involving incapacitation, lethal, and untraceable toxins. However, the absence of scientific data in the early 50s about the effectiveness and safe dosage levels of new drugs, including LSD, presented a problem for MK Ultra researchers. As a result, Galibi and members of his team performed experiments on themselves, bullshit, that included ingesting drugs, observing and recording their own reactions. Now that's some tainted goddamn research if I ever heard it. In late '53, an earlier LSD experiment involving several government scientists went horribly wrong. This is one I was talking about. Hush puppy pills contained a harmless tranquilizer. Yeah, they're harmless, which was mixed with ground beef and fed to the dog to avoid suspicion. Adrenaline-filled charrettes would reawaken the dog when the mission was concluded. I think those little pills and little fucking, like the old morphine charrettes that they used in Vietnam and shit. Anyway, Dr. Frank Olson was working at the U.S. Army Special Operations Division, SOD, S-O-D, Biological Weapons Facility. The the DIRT Biological Weapons Facility at Fort Detrick, Maryland, and assisting the CIA on the MK Ultra project. Along with half a dozen other scientists, he volunteered to attend a retreat during November of '53 at the remote Deep Creek Lodge in western Maryland, organized by Galabi. Together with 7 other researchers from TIS and Fort Detrick, Olson was served cognac liquor that had been laced with 70 micrograms of LSD. Anybody knows anything about acid? 70 fucking micrograms of acid on a first dose is a pretty fucking healthy dose.
And that's where them perma-trip people came from.
Yeah. Most good trips to LSD, 5, no more than 15 fucking micrograms. 70 is another dimension. Anyway, after 30 minutes, the participants were told of the LSD and alerted to begin studying their reactions. They were alerted to start studying their own reactions while they're on LSD. That's fucking real smart. Most reported little effects, but of course, but Olson had a bad trip that night as his condition worsened in the following days. The Levy's deputy, Dr. Robert Larsbrook, escorted him to New York City for psychiatric counseling. This attention and treatment seemed to calm Olson temporarily, but later that evening, on November 24th of 53, he jumped to his death from a 10th floor window in the New York hotel. Fucking Mandela effect right there. I would have swore that was in New Orleans. Anyway, CIA executives seeking to protect the secrecy of the MK Ultra program did not fully reveal the circumstances of his death to his family. No other fatalities from the Ultra experiments occurred, or did they? But 2 decades passed before Olson's widow received a delay apology from President Gerald Ford and a financial settlement from the U.S. government. Well, the government's here to protect you. They would never fucking lie to you or kill your husband or use you for a fucking guinea pig in chemical warfare. They'd never do that. They're here to help.
Well, Reagan said the scariest 7 words are, "I'm from the government. I'm here to help."
And if you don't believe me, ask the American Indian. They're still helping the fuck out of them, just like they're going to fucking serve and protect the shit out of you. Soviet intelligence in the 1950s, however, was less averse to death either from accident or from assassination. Soviet intelligence. There's a lot of misprints in this book. Their fucking editor wasn't a very good editor. I can read better than he could.
Hey, you want to call it right there and see what old YouTube thinks about it? We're almost at the 2-hour mark here.
Let me finish this page.
Okay.
I'm way through a paragraph.
Okay.
Nikita Khrushchev, the successor to dictator Joseph Stalin, continued the existing policy of special actions as a central tool for dealing with the leaders of anti-Soviet emerge groups. The first target of the post-Stalinist era, Ukraine nationalist Giorgio Akhilevich was spared when the assassin KGB officer Nikolai confessed the plot to his victim and defected to the CIA. On April 20th, 54, Kalagavik gave a dramatic press conference and revealed both the assassination plot and his exotic weapon to the world. The execution device was an electrically operated gun and silencer hidden inside a cigarette pack that shot cyanide-tipped bullets. This failure was followed soon thereafter by the successful assassination of Ukraine leader Lev Rebet in 57 and Stefan Bandera in 59. Both were killed by KGB assassin Bogdan Stakhanishi, who defected in 61 and revealed that he had disposed of his weapon, a cyanide gas gun, concealed in a rolled-up newspaper in a canal in blah, blah, blah. In a canal near Bandrin's residence in Munich, Germany. An analyst of the KGB cigarette pack gun and Shanansky cyanide weapon recovered from the canal stimulated, accelerated U.S. efforts to create comparable weaponry for the United States. Okay. It means that they had to have the gun themselves. And see, this is going to lead me into the Second Amendment here. It's the reason they come after our rights so hard on that. It's not that, well, any dictator's scared of a fucking free man with the ability to fucking defend himself. So,
Well,
and
like it's been said many a times before, the amendments are not to use against each other. The amendments are used against the government.
yes, the amendments and all that shit are not there to empower us. They're there to control, to keep in check the government, not us. So, but we had a whole 1 to 3 viewers in here, bro. I'm thinking, in this motherfucker, we might do some choppy and
Yeah, I can make some of those. We did good on it.
exclusive content for the other channel.
Yep, sounds good.
So, and but I think we want to wait a few days on. I don't know.
Yeah, name
Well,
this. Give this the name of the book. We're gonna have to go back and change it, or I will. I'll give it the name of the book. And you'll have to send me
a
the
good
picture of the cover. Yeah.
I've got a real good one already cropped and all that shit. And but yeah, well, I think maybe this particular video, throw it out there. I mean, we can change the name of it and shit like that. But throw it out there, and I'll try to get it. I'll circulate it through Discord and shit for off of this channel, whether we want to edit it or short of the name change and shit. And just
Yeah,
try to
we'll see how
out.
YouTube treats it first.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Try to get it out there this way, this one here, with the name change and shit, just the name change and shit. Let YouTube fucking chew on it for a bit, and we'll test our rhythms that way. So, but
Sounds good. Sounds good. We've almost hit that 2-hour mark right now.
all right. Well, I'll probably end this motherfucker, and hell, I might do another one on the real channel. If nothing else, yeah, I'll end this. We'll work on getting it fucking edited and shit like that, and we can, well, we ain't gonna do that tonight. Well, no, we're not gonna edit it. We'll just change the name and shit, and
Yep.
I'll throw the fucking link out there from the other one here in a few minutes. So,
Well, for the Constitutional Cowboy channel, for the Go Fuck Yourself channel, I'm We the People. And Cowboy will tell you we're out.
And I'm Go Fuck Yourself. So this is the end of the fucking deal. And you know what you can do? You can save a horse, or you can go fuck yourself. But remember, you ain't never really been fucked until I